Welcome to Partnerships for Profit, the podcast where we bring you inside the world of joint ventures, strategic partnerships, and powerful collaborations. Whether you're looking to expand your network, find new referral partners, or scale your business, you're in the right place. Let's get started.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Partnerships for Profit. I'm your host, Ana Del Rio, and this week we're joined by Gary Safir, a top-rated trial lawyer for Morgan & Morgan, who's recovered millions for accident victims across Michigan and Ohio. Gary shows how compassion and strategy intersect in personal injury law and why empathy might just be the secret weapon in winning cases. Hi, Gary. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Wonderful. Okay. So, Gary, I actually have a background in insurance sales, personal lines insurance sales. So this topic is actually kind of close to home here, and I'm in Florida. So I'm sure you know of all of the personal injury cases that we have here. I'm sure you heard the rumors, but tell us about
my firm's busy down there.
Yes, Morgan & Morgan's all over the place. Yes. Tell us about yourself. We want to, get to know you, like how you started, how you got in with Morgan & Morgan, all of that.
Sure. Yeah. I am a personal injury lawyer. I grew up in Michigan. I'm from East Lansing, so I'm.
Oh, it looks like we are getting a little
connection issue here.
Yeah, a little bit.
Back?
Yes, you are. There you are.
Catch any of that?
No.
All right. God, sorry about that. But yeah, I grew up in East Lansing, Michigan. Born and raised a Spartan fan. Both my brothers went to U of M though, so I don't know what happened there. They're also both lawyers as well. But I went to Michigan State for undergrad, went to law school in Cleveland at Case Western, and then started my career actually as an insurance defense lawyer, working for a couple firms down in Ohio. Began my career down there, baby lawyer. And then my father actually was very ill and was, passing away in about 2015, 2016 when I moved back to Michigan. And I just wanted to be closer to family. So I actually had to take the bar exam again because I couldn't waive in. So I took the Michigan bar and the Ohio bar. So I moved back to Michigan, and I'm glad that I didn't wait because I got to spend the last year with my father before he did pass away in 2016. During that time, I was working insurance defense up in Michigan for a little bit. And then I think I hit like a breaking point after my father passed away. I realized, I'm not a insurance defense lawyer. I'm just not. It's never going to be. I'm never going to be one of those people that can get jazzed up to save a multi-billion-dollar company a couple $1,000 just because I'm a better lawyer than the poor person who I'm, going after here. So I quit my job. I didn't have a plan in 2017. I'm just like, I need to find something else to do with my life. Insurance defense. But I have to let mother and am I losing connection again?
Yeah, yes. It's okay. You're back now.
What's going on? I don't know what's going on with the internet connection today.
Sure.
Something's going on with the building or something that we're in. So, I went to Latin America with my little brother, Rory. And, we traveled for a little while, came back and just serendipitously began my plaintiff lawyer career with a firm in Michigan called Scott Goodwin Law, and worked with him he was Goodwin and Sheska back then. Then his partner retired Sheska and renamed the firm to Scott Goodwin Law. And I worked with him for a few years. And then this opportunity with Morgan & Morgan really kind of fell into my lap. Like I was planning on starting my own law firm. And I was planning on handling a lot of the same kind of cases that I'm handling here, but car crash cases are my bread and butter. That's what I do. So I was planning on doing that. And so I was trying to hustle some cases from Morgan & Morgan. And I was like, yeah, if I can get their garbage, man, I'll eat that garbage, So they but then, I had a really nice lunch with my now managing partner, Michael, and he's like, why would you want, that when you can come work for us? And I kind of like my brain, like it didn't occur to me that was an option. I didn't think I was good enough to work here,
That garbage paid off, didn't it?
I heard how, Morgan & Morgan is like this elite firm. And I'm like, man, I didn't realize I was like worthy. So yeah, I started here in January of 2025. So I've been here since.
Nice. And what has that transition been like from working, with the firm, the larger corporations? If I could talk today, that would be wonderful. But so we have connection issues, and Anna's mouth doesn't want to work. No,
yeah, it's totally on my end too.
What was that transition like?
Well, it's been crazy because my second son was born in March.
Wow.
And we had I brought some cases. Some clients came with me to Morgan & Morgan from my old firm. And, we've dealt with that all kind of amicably with my old boss and I. And but I had one case that went to trial in June. So it was very soon after getting here. I had to get up to speed, like learn the Morgan & Morgan, system here, the case management software, Litify, which is all encompassing and ridiculously expansive. And I'm still learning things about it and all the services that this firm provides. The resources are like, it's like a poverty of riches. Like you have so much stuff that you can do. You're like, wait, we can do that? It's like, yeah, just press this button. I'm like, do we have to ask permission?
Spin on my
no, you can just do that. I'm like, oh my goodness. All right.
Oh goodness.
But yeah, so I had to get up to speed on Morgan & Morgan. And then, we tried our first case in June, and it happened to be because Morgan & Morgan officially launched in Michigan in January of this year. So like, this is like Morgan & Morgan's like first official year in Michigan. I mean, we had lawyers that were working here, beforehand, but this is like when it officially like launched, was in January. Wow. And that's right when I started. And then right away we got a trial, and it happens to be in Detroit. It's an auto injury case that another firm brought me in to try specifically, and it was a low offer case. They had offered like $13,500 on the case. Oh, God. And I brought my now managing partner, brought him on to try the case with us. So like no pressure, it's just got brought into this brand new firm. I just need you guys to spend a bunch of money. We're gonna try this case. Don't worry. They're only offering $13,000.
No worries.
The client had like 6 months of physical therapy and a back brace, and she was a Chinese national, which in this climate, like right now, this political climate, crazy. And we had like trouble trying to get the clients here because they were on a missionary trip in Africa, and then they had to fly to China and fly back, and they had an 18-month-old, and it's just like, and then so we come in and try this, like no pressure, right?
Right.
And,
absolutely.
We ended up getting a $2.1 million verdict. So
stop. Okay.
Yeah.
Picking up that garbage paid off.
So that turned out well.
That's amazing.
I didn't think the case was garbage. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I saw, this client, the problem is with this case, I didn't have the time to, we got this case kind of near the end. Another firm had worked it up. And they had what they had, and that's kind of what happens. You get called in to try a case at the end. Like you don't have the years of workup. You don't have the time to get to know the client, like the person who worked it up to. You have to like get up to speed really fast. But I've done this before. I know how to, talk to clients and figure out what the real story is. You just had to learn how to cut past the pleasantries and be like, all right, like, hey, I know we just met, but you're going to tell me like everything about yourself. And like, I'm going to be asking you all kinds of questions that are super, super personal, and try to make it as, pleasant for you as I can. But I need to know everything about why your life has been affected by this crash. And it's not going to be fun to talk about. It's not going to be stuff that you want to accept. It's probably going to be stuff that you tucked away in your brain, that you have defense mechanisms and walls put up to try to prevent you from thinking about, the what if this is my rest of my life. I'm like, but we only get one chance to tell your story, and you're going to fly across the world to be here. So I want to tell your story right. But yeah, that was first trial here. And then I had another case that I had brought with me. We just resolved it for $5 million just very recently in, I think, August.
Wow.
But yeah, it's been a busy year. So my transition, back to your original question, the transition has been, I don't think I've had time to like really process. It's just been like, it's like I feel like I'm building the plane while I'm flying it. Like, oh my God, like this is fine. This is fine. You know?
Yeah. Everything's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. It's fine.
Yeah. It's like I got probably 170 files right now, and it's just like, all right, yep, it's gonna be fine. You know?
Bring it on. We'll figure it out, right?
Just make it work. You know, I have tremendous staff here. I have so much staff. I feel less overworked now than I did with fewer cases at my old firm, just because of the resources that we have.
Good.
And the clients are getting a better experience too. Like we have metrics that we have to hit, and they're there for a reason. We have to call the client often. You know, the clients need to be made aware of what's going on. You know, it's a wonderful, you know, for all the, you know, flack that big billboard firms get for, you know, client, you know, dealing with the client really is first. And the resources and the safeguards we have in place here prevent us from not doing the client justice. I never would have guessed before I started working here.
So you would say that they truly are for the people?
Oh, absolutely. I wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
You know, I chose to be here. I was asked to be here. I didn't even apply for this job. You know, I'm here because I really do believe that I'm giving my clients the best possible outcomes, and otherwise I wouldn't be here.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful, because you don't really hear all the negative talk. I mean, like I told you, I was in insurance sales. So having to sell on the whole personal injury, you're selling fear. And I hated doing that personally, but you know, it's something that was necessary. They needed to be protected. So I'm curious though, because back to your very first case, like that you were talking about with this in June with this company, what was the time frame? Because you said that you got like the case basically at the end when you were going to trial. How long is that process usually? Like,
so, you know, I got this case kind of near the end of 2025 or 2024 rather, it was like November, December or something. And we were kind of just in the early phases of like, hey, Gary, are you interested in, you know, helping us with this case? And I was kind of looking at it. And then I was like, okay, yeah, let's do it. We'll give it a shot. And then from, you know, January through June, there was a little bit of, you know, we had to go to a couple of hearings. There were a couple motions, I think, of trying to make sure this trial date was going to go, because these clients had to fly in from Africa and from China, and they had an 18-month-old. And so there's a lot of moving parts, and we had to corral like experts. And, but yeah, from, you know, the time I was brought on till the time we got the verdict was probably about, you know, 6.5 months or so.
And then before that, like, when did their accident actually occur to when they filed the
suit?
About
3 years ago.
See, is that normal?
It just depends. It really does. There is no normal.
I should say common.
I hate to be like the lawyer answer where it just depends, but you know, I had that case that I just resolved for $5 million. I had that case for going on almost 5 years.
Wow.
Meanwhile, I've resolved cases for policy limits within, you know, 6 months of getting the 6 months of the accident. So it just depends. Some cases there's a million different factors, and I could talk for 3 hours about what could possibly make a case take longer, or, you know, that's kind of the game, right? Like the goal is to figure out how to most efficiently marshal your resources and your time, which is your most important resource.
Absolutely.
To get the best result for the client. Because for brain injury cases, for example, you may not know how bad the brain injury is for a year. And if your goal is to just file a lawsuit as soon as a car crash happens, you may be missing something. So you have to like know what to look for. You know, to know what to look for in a case and know about how long it should take. But some of these injuries, you know, we'll file suit. Like I try to move things quicker now because I can I can get a pretty good beat on a case. I've seen a few of them now. I'm not a baby lawyer anymore. I've been doing this for a while.
Yay.
I can kind of get a beat on a case and be like, all right, I know what this case is about. Like, I know whether this case is going to resolve for, below the policy limits or over the policy limits or whatever. But I'm like, if you know what you've got to work with and you know what the injuries are, you don't need to have a crystal clear 100% certainty knowledge of the case to know what it's worth. It's sometimes you have enough injuries to know, if this person's got a serious disc herniation where their injections have already failed and they're probably going to need a surgery. Yeah, I think I'm good. I know what this case is. If there are no other injuries in this case, I already know at least how much this case is worth. And if your policy limits are $50,000, it's worth at least that. So, but then you have where there's millions and millions of dollars of coverage, and that takes a little bit more time. And you're like, well, litigation takes time too, right? So kind of going back to that metaphor of building the plane while you fly it. I mean, if you know generally, what the injuries are and they're going to progress, then they may as well just progress in litigation because, the case isn't going to be getting worse and the client's experience isn't going to be improving if they're really deal with permanent injury. So let's just get the show on the road and move it along. The only cases where it's a little tricky is with some of these brain injury cases where I get on the fence about them. Like, do I want to file them right now? Like 4 months after the accident, do I feel like that's a bad thing? I don't know. But, litigation takes time. Like, am I starting to see some of the brain injury stuff, the symptoms? Are they acting like, and then so brain injury cases are tricky for when you file them. But as far as how long things take, there is no normal really. I mean, it's you try to move it along as efficiently for the client as the facts and the circumstances allow.
Of course.
So that was probably a long-winded way of saying,
No, I appreciate that. I really wouldn't have enjoyed that so much. So now you talk about like the personal injury cases, and could you explain that a little bit more? Are we just talking like auto accidents? Are we talking slip and falls? What are we talking here? Who are the people that you help?
Sure. So we obviously, Morgan & Morgan, we're the largest firm in the whole country for this stuff. So we handle everything. I personally only handle auto negligence cases, and I handle them in Michigan and Ohio. Okay. And I only handle car crash cases. That is it. I do not do premises cases. I don't do dog bites. I don't do anything else. All I do, were you hurt in a car crash? That's what I'm going to be doing. I have some odd ones where I've handled a few school bus case, not school bus, smart bus cases, with the city buses. I have a couple of fire truck cases, which are kind of odd. They're just a little trickier. But other than that, without those little wrinkles, by and large, those are still auto adjacent, so they're still auto, but they're just little different. But yeah, car crash cases is all I do. There are people in our office here in Detroit that handle premises, general negligence, no fault PIP cases. That's just not what I do. I do nothing but third party auto negligence. That's it.
Okay. So I want to kind of touch on that a little bit more when it comes to the personal injury, accident cases. So I'm sure we all hear about should we or shouldn't we? When should we file? Or you know what I mean? Should we go to the hospital right away? So what are some of the how am I trying to ask this question? The problems and pain points that you see a lot with these cases with your clients. What are some of those?
So the pain points, the biggest problems I guess pain points from a perspective of what prevents cases from getting resolved or I just want to make sure I understand.
Yeah, that exactly. So there's hesitation, right? So there's hesitation on whether or not, hey, should we file? Because, people don't like necessarily dealing with lawyers. Let's be completely honest here.
Sure.
So how is it that finding a lawyer after an accident would be beneficial, and like what are some of the common like problems that you face or that they see when they're trying to get this started?
Yeah, I get it.
You know what I
So
mean?
it's so oftentimes I'll just address the elephant in the room with my clients and say, look, if I'm talking to you, I'm either talking to you on the worst day of your life or very shortly thereafter, or a day in your life that's going to be burned in there forever, whether you like it or not. And then we're going to be talking about it and picking at that scab for years. Nobody wants to have to talk to a lawyer. It means something bad is happening. Except barring some other circumstances. But if you're talking to a lawyer like me, something really bad happened, and you don't really know what to do. You're scared. You're hurt. If you have a brain injury, your brain isn't even telling you the proper information. You have people around you telling you this, telling you that. There's a lot of trust problems. And I think credibility and trust is the biggest initial barrier. Here at Morgan & Morgan, we have a huge, robust intake apparatus. So by the time somebody's getting to me, they've gotten past, probably like 400 like phone calls from like different people with different area codes and all trying to get you to sign on the line. It's probably like a whirlwind. And I don't have any control over that. It's the system that we have here, and it's to get people in front of a lawyer as quickly as possible so the lawyer can do what the lawyer's got to do for them. And so there's a lot of benefit to it, but it also can feel very pushy. It can feel very scary. It can feel very like, I'm signing my life away to these people. And in some ways, you kind of are like you're putting your life in our hands as far as what's going to happen to you and how you're going to be compensated for this horrible thing that happened to you and assign a value to it. It's very scary, and there's a lot of trust. And you go online and you try to read Google reviews and see, are these people, you see the billboards and you wonder, like, can I trust these people? Are they going to, is this lawyer really going to take care of me? And I empathize with that. And it's tough, when you didn't reach out to that lawyer directly and you get kind of assigned one through Morgan & Morgan, unless it's one of my, cases that I directly generated or something. So you have to have a very candid conversation with them. One of the things we have to do here is we have a whole pre-suit team that works with me. I have a fantastic team that will conduct like the initial interview with them after intake that kind of get a little bit more information, and then they'll set up a call with me. So I'll talk to them within 24 hours of them being here, or 48 hours of them being here at the firm. And from there, I just, I think being transparent and honest and, obviously empathize with what they went through, but they didn't hire you as their lawyer to be somebody who doesn't know what's going on and doesn't know how to handle this stuff. They don't want you like sobbing on the phone with them. They want you to be the light that guides them. And, the benefit of working here is that I've, in this industry for as long as I have is your case is not my first rodeo. I have handled whatever injury you've had, whatever crash you've had. I can guarantee you with almost certainty, I've handled a near exactly identical case to yours recently. And so a lot of that is setting expectations for here's what's going to happen. Here's what you're going to expect. You feel a little bit like Liam Neeson in Taken, where they're like, his daughter's under the bed. Like, okay, now they're going to take you, but I will come get you. I'm going to kill all of them, but they're going to take you first. And then I will do the whole movie. But first, the bad thing is this is not going to be fun, right? So you set expectations really early and just be like, look, here's what you should expect from me and my team. Here's what you should expect from me as a lawyer. Here's what you should expect, how long you should expect this to take within reason. I obviously am not a psychic. I don't know every little thing about things. I'm certainly not discussing value with them on the first phone call. I tell them that there's a lot of stuff that we got to do for our due diligence here. But I try to be transparent, and I say, look, if you don't like it or you're not okay with this process, understand that this is a large apparatus that you're working with here. We're a corporate style firm here. You're going to get, you're going to get an approach that is effective. Obviously, some things will have to be a little bit more bespoke for your particular case when we get to those kinds of issues, but you're going to be mostly handled how we handle our cases. And if that's not okay with you, that's fine.
Right.
Go somewhere else.
Yeah.
There's no harm, no foul. And I used to, when I was at a smaller firm, I just can't imagine ever approaching a file that way, where it's like, hey, if you don't like it, that is your prerogative. Go ahead. Go somewhere else. It's fine. I want to make sure that my clients have a transparent, good experience.
Right.
And I get great results from my clients. And I wouldn't be here at Morgan & Morgan if I didn't think I was getting that. But I
love
think
that.
it's like, I'm not here to give you a sunshine and rainbows BS reality. I'm not going to tell you what your case is worth yet. Believe me, if we had the ability at Morgan & Morgan to tell you what your case was after the first phone call, we would be the first firm in the country to have that technology. Trust me. But yeah, it's just, I think a lot of that, the pain points is that, to go back to your question, because I kind of ramble, is
it's okay.
It's credibility, it's trust, and that they have to trust you in order to listen to your advice. They have to believe you in order to believe that there's hope for their case. And if you have a clear strategy that clearly works, and if you're a good lawyer, I also tell them, look me up. Look me up online. See what clients have to say about me. See what my peers have to say about me. Look me up. See if I'm full of BS. See if I'm some loser.
Yeah.
If you think I'm some loser, if this guy's not good enough, go find somebody better. We all cost the same. We're all on a contingency fee. I'm not billing you at a higher hourly rate than another firm is. You're going to pay us the same thing as anybody down the street. It's just that you're paying for the results that you could possibly get. And I would submit that the results that we get here are a very higher likelihood that we're going to get a better result.
Right. Right.
And that's why you hire the best firm that you can get.
Exactly. And not only, you expressed wholeheartedly how you view them as human beings. You show empathy, and that's very hard to find. It's especially in this industry, especially when
people are surprised too, when they get a lawyer who's willing to actually have a conversation with them, and they expected something else from the billboards and the advertisement. They probably expected I'm not talking to you. You're get in the pile. See you later.
Exactly.
And no, I've got a lot of clients now, but I can help. I have a huge staff of people that help me make sure I know everything about, the people that I fight for. And I really do care. It's interesting. It's kind of like they say, when you have your first kid, you look at your kid and you're like, man, I love this little creature who I have known for 2 seconds, and I would fill the whole universe with my love, and it wouldn't be enough.
Absolutely.
And you think, how could I possibly love another being as much as this? And then you have your second child, and you're like, weirdly, I love you just as much, and it is incredible. I didn't realize I had the capacity for this. And so, to the same extent, my clients, there's plenty of, lawyer love to go around. I care deeply about all my cases and all my clients. And, some of my clients are longer term, relationships. And sometimes we can get their case done really quickly, but I still wanted to make sure that I did the best. I want to be able to look myself in the mirror and look my clients in the eyes and tell them that I did the best that I could do. And that's the only bar that really matters.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We could talk about this for a whole nother 30 minutes, but let's go ahead and tell people where they can find you. And you kind of get a segue into that. So go ahead.
Sure. So again, I'm at Morgan & Morgan's Detroit office. You can call us at any of the billboard numbers. I think it's Pound Law. You can call me directly. I don't even remember my own phone number because we just moved to a great office. You can call me at 313-739-1954. You can call me. You can email me at Gary.Safir, Safir, at forthepeople.com. You can look me up on the website. I'm always willing to chat with people. If you're a client, if you're injured, you can reach out to me. If you're more likely watching this, another lawyer, and you want advice on how to try cases, handle auto injury cases, just general logistics of how to manage a caseload I'm open book. So I freely share whatever information I can be of use.
There you guys have it. He told you how you can find him, and just know that he just sounds super, super genuine. And I love the energy that you provided during this show. I hope you guys got a lot of great information, and we're going to sign off now. See you next time.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Partnerships for Profit. We hope you've gained valuable insights on how to form profitable partnerships and take your business to the next level. Be sure to subscribe and leave us a review wherever you listen to podcasts so you never miss an episode. Got a partnership story to share or someone you'd like to see featured on the show? Reach out to us. Until next time, keep building those partnerships for profit.